In today's video, we're going to be reacting to some of the strangest and craziest videos I found on TikTok. Let's get into it.
The Black Sun is an esoteric symbol often associated with the dark forces hidden behind the visible world order. The concept appears in various occult traditions, with deep roots in European and Western esoteric mysticism, particularly in the dark arts, conspiracy theories, and secret teachings. The Black Sun symbol depicts an invisible source of energy or force, which organizes and shapes the larger fabric of reality, much like hidden cosmic energies. In occult traditions, the Black Sun is often seen as a symbol of a force beyond the grasp of ordinary human understanding. It is a force that operates beyond the physical universe, bringing about chaos, transformation, and renewal. It is not just about darkness in the physical sense, but also a symbol of ignorance, mystery, and hidden potential. The Black Sun is believed to have the ability to uncover hidden realities or silence and chaos, revealing how all forms of life and death are intertwined in an eternal cycle. Some occultists describe the Black Sun as a governing force of dark energy or primordial energy that exists outside of space and time, which influences the thoughts and actions of humans without them realizing it. In this sense, the Black Sun can be considered a symbol of profound change, which destroys old structures to create new ones, which is a destructive process necessary for spiritual and physical evolution.
The symbol, it definitely has an interesting past, but a lot of the theories around it seem more like speculation than solid truth. Let me know what you guys think about this. I've seen plenty of videos where trees have moved around in the forest, but it's probably just someone cutting it down from the other side and we just can't see them, especially when you see the work equipment. Cool illusion, but I don't think this one's as mysterious as it seems.
People are freaking out just finding out about this, and oh my god. You go swimming in the pool or the sea without goggles on, sometimes it's going to burn your eyes. You've probably all had that. Eyes go bright red, they start stinging, and it's just because of the chlorine and what's in the water, right? Well, not exactly. If you go swimming in the sea and open your eyes, it really burns, and yes, of course, it's going to make your eyes red. That's because of many different things: bacteria, pollution, the sand that's in the sea, everything. That's of course going to scratch and irritate your eyes. But in a swimming pool, it's clean, and many people thought the reason it irritates your eyes is because of the chlorine. Chlorine does not cause the redness in your eyes. There is no research saying that it does. What actually happens in the swimming pool is when chlorine is mixed with pee and sweat, that's going to irritate your eyes. It also gets contaminated with bacteria and literal wee. You are swimming in kids' wee, with sweat and other horrible things that come off people's bodies when they swim. That bacteria then goes in your eyes. Of course, it's going to make them sting because it should not be in your eyes. Sometimes if you're the first in a pool, it's deadly clean, your eyes aren't going to go red, but sometimes they do. So just know the times when it really stings and does go red, you are swimming in piss.
Ugh. Pools? They're basically giant bathtubs that a bunch of strangers share. Chlorine helps, sure, but it doesn't magically just erase everything. Actually, one thing that really made me not like pools, when I was a kid, I remember the exact moment I realized someone was peeing in the pool. I was just swimming, minding my own business, and then I overhear some kid proudly admit it like it was no big deal. Even as a kid, I swear I've never gotten out of water so fast in my life. That was the day I started looking at pools very differently.
Alright, y'all, we got serious problems. Somebody tell me why this is inside the fog. What is this? Watch this video.
This is the fog.
What is that?
What in the...
Jackson, Mississippi, or around Jackson. Look at it. It did the same thing at my house, but I didn't record it at nighttime, though. And she said it left like a film on her teeth and in her mouth. Like, it, dude, you know, with me, it smelled like chlorine and it had like a burnt smell the next day. Does anybody else live around here, though, man, or live in, like, in Mississippi? Because a lot of people are saying that they've been seeing it, too.
Stop moving. Wow.
I know, it's crazy. Anybody? I'm waiting. I'm reading the comments. I'm not seeing anything.
And this is supposed to be fog? Are you kidding me?
It doesn't look like it to me either, but it's just my
This is
opinion.
not like any fog I've ever seen.
Same girl, same.
The fog has rolled back around and it's been foggy here where I live. And yeah, it's weird. Fog is normal, but when it has a smell and a weird taste to it, that's when you have to start questioning things. Let me know in the comments, have any of you experienced this reoccurring fog as well? Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel.
Did you know that everything in Indiana Jones was actually a dream?
Nah, what?
And it was just all Han Solo when he was stuck in the carbonite. So listen.
Oh,
and
shit.
And there's hints.
Yeah.
So Han Solo, you know, in the real world, he's really broke and everyone wants to collect money from him.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones lives the total, like the life that Han Solo wants to live. He's like a treasure hunter, you know, and he wants to like gather money, like he's rich, like that's him.
He's going on adventures, stealing the treasures and
gold.
getting away with it.
Exactly.
Han Solo was a bounty hunter looking for the bounty.
Exactly. So now, and there's another hint. So there's a plane in Indiana Jones that says OBCPO. So like Obi-Wan and C-3PO.
Oh, so it's like a code in.
So in Indiana Jones, when he's looking for treasure, one of the pillars has a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi and C-3PO. And it makes sense because you would only see that in Indiana Jones' dream. Because Han Solo was dreaming about it. You feel me? And like the writers of Indiana Jones and Star Wars are very close. So that's why they would leave hints.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg.
Exactly. So they would leave hints to that.
That's actually kind of hilarious.
Speaking of the IRS and taxes, dude, this video was from the early 2000s. Past employed workers for the IRS. They all left because they figured out federal income tax is non-constitutional, and it's actually, there wasn't a law put in place. So they're like, people are just paying federal income tax when they don't have to.
Unlawfully.
And someone put out a thing. They said, if you can find the law that says you have to pay federal income tax, we'll give you $50,000. And that's how the one IRS agent found it. And she's like, there's no law.
We have to pay federal tax.
She even said upwards of 60 million people in the U.S. in the early 2000s were not paying federal income taxes. And then one guy that was highlighted on this, he's like, yeah, I'm not paying taxes on that. And he was brought to court. Wait a second. We don't have a law. And so they couldn't charge him with anything. Someone put out a reward. If you can prove that the IRS, it's illegal for them to collect federal income tax, we'll pay $300,000.
Dang.
Did you prove that it's legal?
That it's constitutional, that it's the law.
Okay, got it.
No one could, but then the IRS came out and said, actually, no, here, in this section 3 of this article, it says that you have to pay it.
Yeah.
Some people argue that we don't have to pay taxes, but I don't really plan on trying to skip them to see what happens personally. I've seen some people get affected by the IRS and they don't play around. It's one of those theories that sounds interesting, but I don't want to take the risk. Watching a spacesuit like that just drift away into space is kinda crazy. I bet as one of the astronauts that would have been horrifying to witness, because that could have been one of them. That's if you believe in space. Let me know in the comments.
This flu going on right now is everything but ordinary, and this video right behind me is just for your attention. We're also going to go over this map in just a minute. So with this flu, people are getting really bad viral infections that are affecting their legs and making them unable to walk. Not just that, but people are complaining about horrible leg cramps and really high fevers, 104, 105. You can see this poor girl that had it by stay-at-home mom. My daughter also had it. I've also seen little boys have to be rehabilitated to learn how to walk again. I'm not just going to leave you with problems. Hold on. This is the map for up to February 1st. And would you believe it, down south Florida, they have it almost the worst right now, along with California, but really these southern states. And believe it or not, there's actually a lot of people saying they didn't even think they were going to make it through. And this part's completely irrelevant and not related. Let me tell you guys how much I love this combo. Vitamin C plus oil of oregano. Every time I see something coming down the road, y'all be careful out there. I'm not sure what's going on, but this is serious.
Hey, if you're not feeling your best right now, just know I'm wishing you a speedy recovery, because there's a lot of people right now that are suffering a lot of congestive problems. So best of luck out there to you.
The following video, a man is alone inside a house when something very strange is caught on camera.
The man in this video is currently remodeling his home with the help of his friends, but according to them, they don't like this house, and for good reason. Ever since working on the property, they've been experiencing unusual occurrences. A common one is hearing faint whispers that resemble a child's voice. One night, the man is alone at home watching videos on his phone when a faint voice is heard speaking. He immediately starts to record to capture the whispers that his friends talk about, but as he films, he captures this.
I didn't hear any whispering, but I heard that.
No whispers are heard on camera, but a loud noise is heard instead. It turns out that a plate fell off the counter. The man reckoned that a rat had accidentally knocked it over, but only a few nights later, he uploads another video showing something that makes this incident quite concerning. Watch.
I'm here doing construction work at my house by myself, and my phone starts going off. I start getting these notifications that a person's been detected in my house. 6 minutes ago, it says someone was here. Look. There's nobody here. Yeah, there's no one here. I don't understand. I noticed yesterday there was people detected too, and so I checked the cameras on yesterday's video. Okay, hold on. Okay. Alright. Here, check this out. Look, no one. And then watch. Watch this. Look. And then it just disappears. And then I check the second camera in the room. And check this out. Look. The shadow right there.
Now that would be freaky.
There's no person. I don't know what to say.
If no one was inside the room, then who or what was casting the silhouette? The notifications on the Ring camera say that someone is there, but clearly no one is. Even the second camera, which is also in this room, shows that nothing is obstructing the light. If something had been in front of it, the shadow would have made sense. Now the video becomes creepier when looking at the shadow itself. Viewers noted that the figure has a crooked neck. The way it's bent, according to them, is similar to that of someone who took their own life using a rope. Not knowing what else to think, the property owner has been feeling uneasy.
I bet.
He has yet to explain this, but given what occurred in the video before, he can't help but think that something unexplainable is going on. Just what exactly was caught on camera?
The security camera notifying with an alert saying person detected and then catching that shadow, that's actually kind of creepy because that looked real. I didn't see any artifacting or any kind of blending errors or anything. That looked like a real shadow. Now again, it was a video of a monitor, so that's probably pretty easy to fake regardless, but it was very authentic looking. Let me know what you guys think about this video because that one actually was probably one of the better possibly catching a ghost on camera videos that I've seen. And this guy could be doing this stuff for videos to get monetization on his channel because he's working on a new house. This is a great way to advertise and gain some kind of viewership, I guess. So that could be a thing too.
Is there a reason they've been hiding electric vehicles from us for over 100 years? Like, when do you think the world's first electric car was invented? Was it in 2008 when Tesla first revealed the Roadster to the world? Nope. Maybe it was in 1996 with the revolutionary EV1 from General Motors. Not even close. The first commercially viable electric car was the Baker electric vehicle in 1909. Yup, we had electric cars over 100 years ago, and then they just kinda disappeared for a while, and I bet you can guess who was behind it all. This car here could go 70 miles on one charge and up to 25 miles per hour. Not the fastest, but still better than a typical horse-drawn carriage back then, which would cap at around 10 miles per hour. What happened here? Like, why did this fall off, and what took EVs so long to gain mainstream appeal like they have today? Well, in 1908, they actually held a race in Philadelphia between a gas-powered car and an electric one to see which one is better and which we should use in society. They raced through the crowded streets where they had to stop at intersections, wait for pedestrians, and swerve around horse-drawn buggies. In the end, the Studebaker electric car won by 10 whole minutes. It dominated, yet it was never adopted by the public. Often called the horseless electric carriage back then, they were easier to turn on, had faster acceleration and braking, no exhaust, and no combustion happening under your seat. And of course, it didn't need gas, just an electric charge, which is much cheaper. Better for the customer, not so good for the companies that profit off them, and this may have been the start of their downfall. Say hello to our good friends, the oil and gas industrial complex. It really did seem promising at first, with the electric vehicle company, EVC, being the biggest car manufacturer in the US in the late 1800s before Henry Ford took over. So what in the world happened here? Well, first, the EVC was accused of loan fraud that bankrupted the company in 1902. I wonder who could have possibly led the investigation that resulted in that. Then, conveniently, in 1903, Henry Ford starts banging out gas-powered cars in his revolutionary assembly line process, which saw enormous success, adopting the general notion that gas was just a better product. On top of that, lack of charging ports out in the countryside made electric cars more limited and cumbersome. And in general, electric cars were not only more expensive, but were generally marketed towards women who didn't drive as much as men back then. So there wasn't much of a target audience for EVs. Even Clara Ford, Henry Ford's wife herself, owned and drove an electric car. Men, the primary market for cars during that time, preferred gas, as they were cheaper, faster, more powerful, and just portrayed as more manly in general. By the 1920s, the electric car was pretty much out of the market. Not because they were necessarily inferior vehicles, but rather due to price, lack of infrastructure, feminine marketing, and a very convenient bankruptcy. Which admittedly, lack of electric charging stations around the country is a pretty valid reason. But then again, we didn't have many gas stations yet either. Supplying cars with gasoline just happens to result in more long-term profit than charging them with electricity. And this actually goes back even further, with a couple of prototype EVs in the 1800s. In 1899, the Belgian La Jamais Content broke the 100km/h speed barrier for the first time in history, reaching a speed of 105 kilometers an hour. It was an electric vehicle. In 1888, what is considered the first electric car ever appeared in Germany, the Flocken Elektrowagen, invented by entrepreneur Andreas Flocken, and could reach a very humble 15 kilometers an hour. But the deeper you look, the further back in time EVs go. In 1881, Gustav Trouve introduced the first electric carriage, which was more of a tricycle and not technically considered a car yet, in Paris that could also go 15 kilometers an hour. Go back 50 years before then to Scotland's Robert Anderson, who built his own motorized electric carriage around 1832. Batteries weren't even rechargeable yet back then, so it was more of a party trick than an actual transportation device, coming in at 6 kilometers an hour and a range of about 2.5 kilometers before it needed entirely new batteries. Ironically, this one also used crude oil to generate the electric charge in the battery, so it kinda doesn't count. But more recently, car manufacturers tried to revive the electric vehicle trend, like in 1996 with the EV1 from GM, a pretty futuristic looking car for its time, which was a total flop, and they quickly scrapped it in favor of more Hummers, SUVs, and more gas-guzzling vehicles. You see, electric cars are nothing new. In fact, they even predate some of the earliest gas-powered cars in history. But when one option can produce way more long-term profit than the other, history tends to go the route that is more profitable to the companies behind it. So much that it literally took an independent billionaire to start his own electric car company in the mid-2000s to finally bring it to mainstream production. And hey, I'm not saying EVs are perfect. Far from it. In fact, they kind of scare me. We've all seen the brutal cobalt mines that are needed to make these batteries and how harmful those can be. And also the sort of concerning totalitarian access that governments and companies have to electric vehicles, being able to control and disable them remotely, essentially whenever they want. But it really just makes you wonder, what other revolutionary products and systems have been invented in the past that never saw the light of day because of profit?
We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family because you don't want to miss this. So an old woman was passing away, and as she died, they had her hooked up to a machine which was monitoring her brain. Now what scientists got from these scans after she passed away was these photos, which don't look like much right now. But what these show is that a part of the brain, specifically the part of the brain that processes memories and experiences, was still active after death for around 8 minutes. And this is crazy because years ago I made a video saying about the 8 minutes after death and how your brain is still active. They did tests before on a man who died and found similar things, but nothing as concrete as this. As I say, from these scans, it showed that the brain was still active for around 8 minutes after this woman passed away. And specifically that she was processing memories, i.e. her life, flashing before her eyes, the common term you've probably heard. So this suggests that when you pass away, your life does flash before your eyes, you get memory flashbacks and maybe relive parts of your life. But it also links into the theory I've spoken about before and many people have said. Think about when you have a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel really real and time's different, time dilation of course. Sometimes you'll have a dream, it feels like an hour but you wake up and it's been about 2 minutes. Well, the same might be happening in this 8 minutes after death. Reliving memories, what feels like days, weeks, but is only in the 8 minutes. Or maybe even like a lucid dream, creating some sort of new reality. So what's to say you're not dead right now in that 8 minutes, and this is all just a figment of your imagination?
It's a pretty interesting theory. If our brain keeps going for 8 minutes after we die, does that mean we know we're dead? I mean, that could explain the near-death experiences that people have. But what would happen if your head was completely squished? Like, there was no brain left instantly. I wonder what that would be like. But that's a whole theory for another video, I guess. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
This website will make you question everything you thought you knew about the internet. At first glance, Galdrix.com seems like any other site until you dig a little deeper. What's buried within this bizarre corner of the internet is a promise for spiritual transcendence. They claim that this journey will unlock the next level of existence. The instructions for this are really strange and cryptic though. It's filled with words like higher vibrations, spiritual ascensions, terms that sound like they would be in a book of like ancient mysticism rather than like a random website you're discovering through a quick search. Most of the website looks like this and the guide is pretty vague. It's filled with like diagrams and symbols that you can barely interpret, and it's almost as if like the website was talking in some kind of code that only a select few people are able to understand, or like you need like something else to go along with it for you to understand what's going on. So that begs the question, is there like a secret community that is associated with this site? And who is this community? What are they doing? Like,
you have to be really careful out there. Some of these websites aren't just creepy, they can actually track you and steal your info. So if you ever run across a weird website, you might just want to cut it off.
Quantum computers scare me.
What is a quantum computer?
Let me tell you, the quantum computer is the next stage in evolution for technology. So digital computers, what we have now, all of our phones, all that stuff, it's digital computers. Quantum computer is the next leap. But Google just came out with that Willow chip, right? Which is a part of it's a quantum computer. And they just did this test where they give it this one thing to figure out. And it would have taken our most impressive supercomputer in the world 10 septillion years to figure out this equation.
Sorry.
That's one with 25 zeros behind it.
Still incomprehensible.
10 septillion years for it to figure this out.
Yeah, wait till.
And it took Google's quantum computer Willow 5 minutes to figure it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's just these different theories of you're able to receive information from different dimensions.
Oh boy.
But supposedly the inventor of the quantum computer said that he was able to reach these different dimensions through the quantum computer and speak to entities. And I'm just like, that's where you go, stop.
The idea that a computer can exist in multiple states at once and somehow solve problems faster sounds more like sci-fi than actual reality. I'll have a little bit more faith in it once I see more come from it, but just saying that it solved this mass equation in this amount of time doesn't really prove anything to me anyways. Let me know what you guys think. Dang, that's a big fish.
What are the chances of two rivers 2,000 miles apart mysteriously turning blood red at the same time? And we don't know the cause for either. Worried residents in both Lima, Peru and Buenos Aires, Argentina have shared footage online reporting strong odors accompanying the discoloration. One local described the scene saying, "It looks like a stream of blood. We have never seen it like this." Now, while we don't know for sure what's caused either yet, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a scene from a biblical prophecy. I'll just leave that there for a second. Rather, in Peru, environmental experts believe that it could be caused by pollutants discharged from mines and drainage pipes flowing into the river. Despite this, local water supplier, Sidapal, assured the public that the water is still safe to drink. And they better be bloody right, because this river is one of the country's most important water sources. And then for the river in Argentina, authorities suspect the presence of aniline, which is a toxic substance used in dyes, and they believe that it could have been dumped there by local companies. But then again, if Jesus did want to come back,
definitely looks nasty. I would not want to drink from that. I mean, if you have no choice, I guess if you have to, but what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's a natural phenomenon or something more? There's a lot of people in the comments on this video saying that our Lord is returning.
Have you ever heard of the twin paradox? A set of twins.
This is the space one?
Yeah.
Yeah!
I saw it was Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Was talking about it. You have a set of twins, and they're both 5 years old.
Okay.
This is going to blow your mind.
Oh,
You
no.
take one of those twins, put them in a rocket ship, and send them to space, but they're traveling 90% the speed of light. And what that does, when you're traveling that fast, the clock is ticking, like time slows down, basically.
Okay.
Slows down by 44%.
Wow. How do we
Um,
know that?
Just math.
It's called math, Lily. Okay.
And so that means they're aging slower. But if you were to take that same 5-year-old and send them to space and going 99.9% the speed of light, by the time they took a trip that was 5 years for them, when they would come back to Earth, they would be 10 years old.
Okay.
And their twin would be 110 years old.
The twin on Earth?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how just like light and time
Weird.
and stuff moves.
Is that where billionaires are going? Are they traveling at light speed so they live longer?
Stop what you're doing. This is one of those big scientific announcements that you're going to want to hear. This plesiosaur comes from Germany. It's around 183 million years old and it's extremely well preserved, but more importantly, it has soft tissue remaining. This gave the researchers a never before seen look into what a plesiosaur may have actually looked like. And one thing that they noticed is that if you look up here, these are the fingers that would be in that paddle. You can kind of see the marking that would be the outline of that paddle. Right here, those are some scales. Plesiosaurs had scales on their flippers, at least some did. But they were also able to get soft tissue from the tail, and that soft tissue is where they were able to find skin cells. So check this out right here. This is showing where it comes from. Here's a cross section. Those little brown patches are melanosomes. And then this is comparing what they found in this fossil to a modern day sea turtle. They were able to identify what they think was a cut on this plesiosaur, and then there is also a fold showing that the skin wouldn't have been extremely tight, but instead it seems like it had a decent amount of skin there. While this is only one type of plesiosaur, we can now say that for the first time ever, they seem to have had scales in some parts, skin in other parts, and if you think about why it would be beneficial to have scales on their flippers, these animals were moving really fast. They were really streamlined underwater. They were also moving pretty close to the floor. It would make sense that those scales would kind of give them better toughness, I guess you could say, as they were rubbing up against the seafloor, moving fast, chasing animals. And there was evidence of some of the animals they were eating in the gut contents. We could see some shells in there showing that they were eating some animals that had shells. Follow to keep up to date as we learn more about ancient life on this earth, because if you thought this stuff was cool when you were little but then just like forgot to care for 20 years, come back, check this out.
I thought soft tissue didn't last millions of years. Either something's off with the dating or this wasn't what people think it is. It's really interesting though. Kinda looks like a dragon.
When they're in the goggles, it's very immersive, and it seems like they can really be tricked into thinking that this is a realistic situation.
A mouse running on a ball in a VR headset is doing more than just having a good time. It may actually be giving researchers insight into potential treatment for disorders like Alzheimer's disease. The headset, which was developed at Cornell University, allows researchers to study mice with Alzheimer's as they're navigating obstacles and potential threats.
We need to use a very powerful microscope and head fix Alzheimer's disease mouse underneath the microscope, and then put it in a situation where it can navigate an environment so that we can assess its spatial learning and memory.
After researchers increased blood flow to the mouse's brain, memory function improved. With the VR headset experiment, researchers can monitor brain activity to see how such a treatment could help Alzheimer's disease.
Even though an animal is head fixed, it can still navigate a virtual environment. So having a VR system is very enabling for translational neuroscience.
VR headsets on mice. Yeah, that's a real thing. I mean, if this is to help dementia, I guess that's a good thing, but what is a mouse really getting out of this? Is it just running through some kind of virtual cheese maze? Or is it just freaking out in some digital space? Because it looked like it was frantically trying to get its head out of that system. But the little devices that capture the eye movements, that's crazy.
This story was never supposed to get out. In 2016, an anonymous military contractor known only as Mr. K revealed a story of an encounter he had with a real-life giant that he experienced while serving in Afghanistan. As it turns out, way back in 2002, at the height of the war, a contingent of American soldiers went missing in a remote mountain region in the Kandahar province. And after losing contact, a special ops team that he was a part of was dispatched to investigate. As they traced the steps of the missing soldiers in the mountains, they came upon a large cave entrance where they saw army gear scattered about, but there was no other sign of human life. And suddenly, a massive figure emerged from the cave. It was this 13-foot tall, red-headed giant. It had 6 fingers on each hand, it was wearing primitive clothing, and it was wielding a massive spear. Before anyone could even think, this giant speared one of the special ops team members, causing everyone else to open fire. And according to Mr. K, it took 30 seconds of emptying rounds into this thing to even take it down. And in the aftermath, the remains of this giant were loaded onto a helicopter, flown off, and were never to be seen again. And according to the story, all of the surviving troops were forced to sign NDAs, but in the end, Mr. K broke his silence because he believed that the public had a right to know about this. Now, there are of course no official records of this ever happening, and this story is largely regarded to be a hoax.
I would really like to see some photo evidence or videos out there of more giants. We see some on mountaintops and out in far distance, but for being giant, we never get to see any up close. If they are real, they are really good at hiding. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's video. As always, if you enjoyed any of the clips that we watched, there will be a link in the description down below. It'll take you to all the videos that we watched today. And if you would like for me to dive deeper into any of the videos that we watched, check out my second channel, It's That Guy Dominic. A link in the description will be down there for that as well. On that channel, I plan on doing deeper dives on topics that we've touched on this channel. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, thank you so much for checking the channel out. And leave a comment down below letting me know what you would like a deep dive on exactly for that channel. That would be great and helpful as well. And with that being said, have a good day.